You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
All right, and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how are we doing tonight underneath the Friday night fantasy football bet set snap lights? How we doing?
I'm doing good, man. I've had 2 straight days of just loving football. And then we got 2 more to go. Really 3 if you count Monday night, but I'm not so concerned about the one Monday night game. But regardless, right? We had a full slate of NFL games yesterday. 4 out of the 6 quarterbacks crushed it. Right. So if you started Burrow, Prescott, Mahomes, or Jordan Love, you were super happy. If you started Jared Goff, you were satisfied. You weren't super happy, but you were satisfied. If you started Lamar Jackson,
you were downright sad.
You were a little discouraged, to say the least. So, is what it is. And then, then the game today between Chicago and Philadelphia, and both the quarterbacks in that game were kind of ho-hum because the Chicago Bears decided they didn't need to throw the ball. They were just going to turn around, hand it off, and shove it down the Philadelphia Eagles' throats. Both Monangai and DeAndre Swift had over 125 yards. Each had a touchdown. Just absolutely took Philly behind the shed and just spanked them. So, a couple things we learned. Number one, the Kansas City Chiefs are in real trouble.
Yes, they
real
are.
trouble. I think everybody kind of quietly thought they could be in trouble, or at least realistically. But you also thought that they'd bounce back against the Cowboys. Okay, the Chiefs are going to beat the Cowboys. It might be closer, but kind of a high-scoring affair maybe, and have fun at it. Here we go. And they jumped out, got the early interception, right? Very first drive, got the interception, went down, scored. And everybody, being down here in Texas, you could feel the state go, just getting ready to scream. And
a little bit of a clenching going on.
A little bit. But then the Cowboys just cooked. Their offense is just so balanced right now. Javonte Williams is doing such a good job. And the passing game for Dallas right now between CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson it's a real beauty. It just is. It's pretty. It is fun to watch. It's consistent. You know what to expect out of all of those players week in and week out. This Cowboys team is fun to have for fantasy football purposes because you at least feel confident that gets you there. Maybe they don't blow up, but they're not going to completely disappoint, except for they kind of disappointed in the game against the Bears, but they lost CeeDee Lamb in the first drive and their game plan looked like it kind of went out the window. And then they disappointed against the Broncos.
Right.
That's it. Every other game, you'd say, okay, they did what they were supposed to do. So that worked. Lions.
Lions are.
I did not have 4 Jordan Love touchdowns on my bingo card.
Nope.
Clearly, if you're watching the Tuesday night show, I thought for sure that we would see 20 plus touches out of Josh Jacobs and that they would just kind of methodically run the ball. Well, they did run the ball and they had success. But when Jordan Love needed to make a play, boy, did he. He played really well. So it just good for him. I don't know. Good for him. So we'll see how this continues to play out. But Jordan Love had himself a solid game. Amon-Ra St. Brown going down was not good for anybody.
Jameson Williams had a monster game, I think, because of that.
Absolutely. They adjusted well. They tried. But this Lions team, they just don't have sometimes luck is a big factor, right? In just getting that big play at the right moment. And last year, this Lions team seemed to have that, right? They would always manage to come up with the big play or the right play when they needed to have it. And it's been a lot harder for them to get it this year. And as a result, they're on the outside looking in. They because no one saw the Chicago Bears rattling off all these wins, right? And so it is Bears and Packers, and we'll see. I think the two of them play next week, so we'll see a good matchup between Bears and Packers here next week, I believe. So that should be fun to watch. And then Bengals and Ravens. I honestly didn't even finish this game. It was boring. And I don't know why I found it to be boring. Joe Burrow's back and everything else. For some reason, I did not find that game entertaining. And I just can't put my finger on as to why. I followed it on my phone, but after halftime, I switched and I started watching movies. Maybe I just needed something else. I don't know. But nevertheless, that game was in. So and overall, good games, good college games today, right? The Egg Bowl, Georgia Tech, Texas just beat A&M. So that means Georgia's back in the conference championship game. So that's exciting. See if they can redeem their loss to Alabama. We'll see what that does or doesn't do for them. But yeah, then we got some more really good college games on tomorrow for it's rivalry week loosely, but some teams play their rivals earlier in the season, so it's not like a true rivalry weekend. Oklahoma, right? Your team, Derek, is one of those. They play Texas mid to early in the season.
Right.
You have LSU. LSU and Oklahoma are not natural rivals.
No. Now, keep in mind before Oklahoma joined the SEC, this week was always Oklahoma State, and it was the Bedlam game, right? So, like, changing the conferences certainly changed some of their rivals on that one for sure, and how often they see each other.
That though, like
right.
Georgia and Georgia Tech play each other. Like it'd be nice to see Oklahoma and Oklahoma State be able to play each other.
Yeah.
For the same reason, you wanted to see Texas and A&M, right? That was a big gap. The years that they didn't play each other.
Right.
So something with that could still be fixed. Like you should still be able to play your natural rivals. Like I don't know. It just is what it is. Food for thought. How I would change the world if I were in charge of everything.
Right.
Whatever.
Now Oklahoma did play one of their old time Big 8 rivals back in the day with Mizzou last week. On that one. So
that game would make more sense as the last game of the season to me.
Right. Kind of flip some things around there and all of that. Yeah.
But, I mean, hell, who knows? Because Mizzou's not even one of your regulars, right?
No.
Yeah. So
it just happened to be the way the schedule lined up this year.
Yeah. So it's what it is. But so we're 4 games in to the NFL slate. We got another
12.
We got another 12 to go. So 11
all 32
tomorrow.
teams play. Yeah.
And then a Monday night game. So we'll see how it goes. But so far, so good. Like I'm liking how my fantasy leagues are shaping up here through 4 games. We'll see how the rest shake out. But as of right now, I'm liking how I'm shaking things out.
Well, hey, in the home league, I've actually got a starter this week in the quarterback with Bosemer, and that rotation that I've had to deal with. So hopefully I'll get somebody back for week 14 and beyond.
It looks like you should get Daniels back. Jaden looks like he could be back for 14.
Right. I did see the reports coming out that they're not anticipating him to play this week, which, let's just say, I think that's a smart move because the Broncos have had quarterbacks have not had a good track record to stay, with health against the Broncos this season. For sure.
I agree. I think that was a strategic move for his confidence and knowing that he's already missed quite a few games this season. Why throw him up against, the Broncos' vaunted pass rush here this season? Just give him one more week. Let Mariota figure it out. Season's lost for the Commanders anyway. So if they were playing for something, I think Daniels would possibly push to play, and you'd be hearing more about it. But the fact that they're out of it, it's a bummer for fantasy teams. But in real life, it makes sense why they're holding him out this week.
Right. And kind of going back to that point that you were making earlier, right? With the Chiefs being in trouble too, the Lions also in trouble, right? Like these are 2 teams that a lot of folks would be considering making some playoff noise at the end of the year, and both of these teams currently on the outside looking in. Neither one of them have an overly rosy path making it through there, right? Like the Lions are going to need help to get there, right? With Seattle 8-3, the Packers 8-3-1, and the Niners 8-4, occupying the last three wild card spots there. But that's, and I don't know that you're going to, with the Bears kind of on this hot streak, I don't know that they're going to be able to chase them down before the end of the season, right?
No. And how big? So this coming Thursday night, Cowboys Lions.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a make or break game and I think it is
for both. Yeah.
The loser of that game is toast. The winner still has an outside shot, but the winner of that game, but the loser of that game is done. Just rip. They're done.
Right.
So we'll see how that shakes out, but that makes for a really good Thursday night game, which sometimes we don't get those.
Right.
And the fact that both of them have a full week to prepare because they played on Thanksgiving, you deal with a little bit less of the short week or long week kind of coming into that Thursday night game. They have a normal week of preparation. So, it should be a good one. I guess I have high expectations for it, at least. Hopefully St. Brown can come back.
Right. Right. And the Chiefs also on the outside looking in, 6-6. They're going to need help to try and make it.
Need a lot of help.
Right.
They need a lot of help.
Right. Because if the Texans win, right, the Bills win. I'm just saying if the kind of the three teams in the wild card there with the Chargers, Jags, Bills win, and then the Texans are actually slightly ahead of the Chiefs right now. If all of those teams win this week, that realistically puts the Chiefs at least 2 games back of the 7th spot with 4 to go. Like that is going to be some tough sledding there, and there's a lot of teams that actually already that hold the tiebreaker on them there. So, they're going to need to win out and get a whole lot of luck along the way to try and make it in there, I think.
Yeah, it's another team who had a ton of good fortune, even the last couple of years, right? And some of it was created on their own, and some of it was just, coin flip stuff, and it just kind of kept coming up on their side. And this year, it's just not, right? They're not winning the one possession games. They're not winning the turnover battle. They're not coming up with that crucial interception or strip sack like we've been kind of accustomed to a Spagnuolo defense doing, especially this time of year when they needed it. And as a result, they, when the dice doesn't fall your way, you are average. Right? Like even good teams look average. And I don't think anybody thinks the Chiefs are a bad football team, but this year they are quite average, and their record shows that.
Right. A couple of teams can almost punch their ticket into the playoff this week with a win. Right? It's not fully locked up, but it's awfully close at that point. Between the Patriots, the Rams, and the Broncos, all at 9-2. If those teams all pull out a win this week, their chance of making the playoffs is pretty well locked in there. And now it starts becoming jockeying for seeding going down the stretch.
Yeah, no, and that'll be interesting to see how that works, particularly with the Patriots and Broncos, because they didn't play each other. The Broncos' losses are in the division. The Patriots aren't, right? The Patriots lost outside the division. So maybe I think that's one of the tiebreakers, right? Your divisional record. So the Patriots might hold a slight edge, but I mean, regardless of, no one, again, if we're going back to our bingo card, no one had the Patriots and the Broncos as the top 2 seeds in the AFC.
And certainly nobody also had the Colts as a 3rd seed right now.
As a 3rd seed. Yeah, right? Like that's just not how it's not how we saw this. So it's fun. It's good.
Right. So, any news notes, anything you want to hit up here before we start kind of diving into the chat?
I mean, the only notes that I have is Saquon continues to struggle, right? I think that's the only thing we didn't touch on. Saquon Barkley just continues to struggle, and it's not for a lack of rush attempts, but as good as Philly's defense is, they're not able to sustain drives the way that they did last year. And ultimately that's truly what the difference is, right? Phillies, they started out 4-0 over the last 8 games. They're 4-4. So again, quite average. But a lot of it's coming on the offensive side of the ball. Like they just haven't quite found a consistent rhythm the way that they did last year. And
Right.
in large part, it's been a lot of turnover on the offensive line for the Eagles, right? And it's been hard for them to open up the holes for Saquon, and teams are doing a pretty good job stopping him, right? He hasn't been able to force as many missed tackles as he did last year, so you're not seeing these long explosive runs.
Right. Yeah, it certainly has looked kind of average for sure there, right? And this has also kind of been the knock on Sirianni throughout his career, right? They tend to start off really hot. And then you tend to see them kind of fade down the stretch. A lot of times there wasn't that long ago we saw them go through and start off like 11-0 and then miss the playoffs, like, and that might be a little bit off there, but they started off winning a ton of games and then just couldn't finish things out, right? And so when we'll see how they can kind of try and figure that out and try and come down the stretch and see if they can really make a go of this, or is this, things just aren't going to play for them this year, right? Like that, they've got a lot of questions to answer going into the last few weeks of the season.
So here's something, and then I'll be done after this, and we can kind of get into the show. Of the teams who are currently not in the playoffs, which team would you least like to see as an opponent?
Realistically, I think the answer would probably be the Chiefs, just from the experience standpoint, right? If you've got a win or go home game and you're in the playoffs, right? Like there's a lot of that experience that comes to play there. The Lions, if the Lions are at full strength, I think that's a different story there too. But the Lions are super banged up all across their offensive line. The defensive unit is pretty banged up there as well. And so the Ravens don't really concern me much, right? Like they just can't seem to get things going. The Texans on the defensive side of the ball, wouldn't want to see the Texans on the defensive side of the ball, but the offense doesn't concern me in the slightest. So I think kind of wrapping that up, Cowboys are also an interesting one too, just because their defense has started to click. They've, right, like especially since they made some of those deals and made some of those trades and kind of brought some guys in here to kind of shore up some holes on that one. That defense is starting to look a little bit more sound, and that offense is a problem, right? And there's few teams out there that are really equipped to deal with that one. So, and those would be kind of the 5 teams, but I think realistically, I'd probably put it on the Chiefs, just from right. There's a lot of that experience and playoff experience that I wouldn't want to have to deal with in a win or go home type of scenario.
I think that's fair. I think that's probably where most people would probably land, right? For the very same reasons. They've been in the playoffs so many times, the Super Bowl appearances, the championship rings, all that good stuff. I would argue that it's the Dallas Cowboys right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think is where I would, if I had to take any of these teams that aren't currently in the playoffs, I don't think anybody in the NFC wants to see the Dallas Cowboys.
I would probably agree with that.
I think the AFC might be able to handle them a bit easier for whatever reason. But if we're looking by conference, I don't think any of these NFC teams really want to see the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Packers might be the exception. I don't think the Packers care,
Right.
but I don't think the Bears want to see him again. I think they realize that, yeah, they got him early in the season, but again, if you're full strength and coming in, I think I'd rather take the Cowboys, and say what you will about Dak Prescott. I think I'd rather take Dak Prescott and my chances with him and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens over Caleb Williams.
Yeah. I see that the Bears do have a pretty good secondary. So like that, there could be a very good matchup there, right? The Rams could also be one of those that, right? They've got a lot of experience there as well, and they've got a really good defense too. That could be another interesting one too. That I don't know that from a Rams perspective that would really matter on who they're going to line up against.
You think that over under would be like 55 or
Probably.
higher?
I think it would
Rams
probably.
Cowboys, like I want to see it just because offensively, if everything goes right for both offenses,
Oh yeah,
I think you could break 80.
fireworks.
Yeah, I
It
think you
looked
could
like a
break
basketball
80,
score more so when it was all said and done than a.
right?
But I don't know. I think Vegas wouldn't set it too much higher than about 50, just from the standpoint that you start getting a lot of people that go, well, there's not a football game that's going to get up to this amount. Like, no, I'm taking the under, right? Like,
Exactly, right.
it might
They
get
want to play it on both sides, but
right.
there's a game like I could see that getting up there.
That one has the chance for fireworks for sure. So, and that could be a lot of fun. Alrighty.
All right, that's all I had.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. We'll go ahead and start over here with the chat, and we got Jason saying start 3. One must be a wide receiver at least. Sutton, Scary Terry, DK, Kyron, Tracy, Neal need upside. Well, Kyron and Neal. I think Neal gives you more upside than Tracy does.
I think I'd go Sutton in there too.
Yeah. I'm leaning Sutton for the wide receiver, right? Scary Terry, yes, has the better ceiling on that one, but not with Mariota. Right? Like, it just doesn't see it. DK is the guy that's going to spike or he's going to crater on you. There's boom bust and nothing in between. And I don't want to put any sort of stock into a Titans boom play. So Sutton would be the wide receiver, and then I'd roll Kyron and I'd roll Neal for the running backs there.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, Tracy, you've got a problem with Tracy on the running back side of things because there's a good chance that he works you really good from the 20 to the 20, and then it's Devin Singletary steals the touchdown, and you're lacked with any sort of touchdown upside there.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know that you can. Jackson Dart helps, but again, this New York Giants offense, you do question how many chances at the end zone you're actually going to get in a game.
Right. There's only one team that's been eliminated from the playoffs so far, and that is the New York Football Giants. And oh, by the way, they're up against the Patriots, the team with the best record in the league this year. So, yeah. Jason saying start 4, 2 must be wide receivers at least. Ladd, Waddle, Pittman, Shakir, Rico, Jalen Warren need upside. Waddle would be your upside.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the fence between Ladd and Pittman.
I would go Ladd only because, again, with this Houston, it's a divisional game with the Colts and Texans. Houston's pass defense is really, really good. So I'm a little skittish on Michael Pittman this week.
And Ladd gets Vegas. So, yep, I'm there with you. Let's go Ladd and Waddle, I think.
And Rico.
Yep, Rico's a slam dunk, yes.
And then Jalen Warren or Khalil Shakir. I think I'm going Jalen Warren. Buffalo has been so bad against the run.
Right.
Buffalo's been so bad against the run. Feed into that. Like, if you need the upside play, this is where the matchup is. Buffalo has not shown that they can stop the run. You play your running backs against Buffalo. So I'm not going to shy away from that. So Jalen Warren would be my fourth. So Rico, Jalen, Ladd, and Waddle would be the four.
Cosign. I like it. Start for two must-be running backs at least. Rico already starting Teta. Vidal, Neal, Bam Knight, or Carter, Shakir, Wandale Robinson. You're playing Rico, right? And Jason, I think we've been over this one before, but if I've got a running portion of a team and I've got the passing portion of the team, if the players are there and the talent's there, it doesn't matter to me if I've got them on the same roster or not, right? Like the Panthers in this scenario, especially with what else you've got there. I play Tet over any of the wide receivers that you've got there, and Rico, I'm playing over any of the running backs that you have listed there. So, yes, playing Rico, play the Tet. Sorry, get off my tangent there. And then I think it's Devin Neal. I'll take the potential upside there. Bam Knight, Carter. It's whoever's got the hot hand there, and if you're not getting a usage type of scoring and you're having to rely on half point PPR, even full point PPR, that one's going to be a bit rough there. Vidal, I don't want any real part of there. And then I'm probably going with, I think I'm going to go with Wandale Robinson. I think I just picked three, but if not, I'm going to bank back to Rico and Neal.
Rico, man. So Rico, yes. I'd go Vidal against Vegas, and then Shakir and Wandale is where I would go.
Okay. So, bit of a mixed bag there, but you've got our thoughts on that one. Jason asking, is Jaden Daniels worth picking up? I currently have Joe Burrow and Bo Nix as QBs, got a free space, or should I pick up Bam Knight, Spears, or Pollard? I don't want any.
Depends on how big your league is. If it's an 8-team league, then no, because everybody's going to have a quarterback. Most likely, if it's a 10-team league, I'm probably not going to do it because the teams in the playoffs probably already have their guy set. But if it's a 12, 14, or 16 man league, absolutely, I'm picking them up. Right. And so I guess the 12 team or more is where I break that off, because if you have the free spot, go. And this is just playing defense, right? You're picking this up so that way you don't have to face him in the playoffs, and you're keeping someone else from being able to grab him. So it's a bit of a keep away move, but if you have the spot for it, go ahead. If you decide that you don't want to pick him up, I would be looking at Tajay Spears over Bam Knight or Tony Pollard.
Yeah, cosign on that one, right? And there's a good chance that this is the last week for Bam Knight if Trey Benson is back for week 14. Jason, do you start defenses against your own players? For example, I have Genty and the Chargers D. Is this good? Is this good this week that I have them, or should I avoid that, or does it matter?
So the only time that I give half a thought to it is if it's going against my quarterback. If it's not against my quarterback, I don't care, because typically the way defenses get points, right? Yes, it's points allowed, but they get points off of sacks, interceptions, fumble recoveries, defensive touchdowns. Well, how do you lose points at the quarterback position? Interceptions, fumbles, some are pick sixes,
Sacks.
Some leagues it's sacks, right? Like, so they directly go against one another. And so I don't love putting my quarterback up against my defense. If it's any other position, it does not matter to me.
Right.
It does not matter to me. You could get 20 points out of Ashton Genty and still get 10 to 12 points out of your Chargers defense.
Right.
It's much harder to do that in correlation with the quarterback, but wide receivers and running backs you are able to do that.
Right. So, no, I like that. Good breakdown. Scott chiming in asking, do you guys think Devin Neal is going to be a thing going forward? I dropped Charbonnet in one of my standard leagues to get him.
I don't know if he's going to be a massive thing. Like, I don't see him being like the league winner that we've seen out of, a couple different guys in years past out of the running back position. But depending on how this game goes, and if the Saints decide to shut down Alvin Kamara, he is going to be a starting running back, and those are of value. So I think that you're perfectly fine grabbing him. The Saints are not a team that visits the red zone a whole heck of a lot, so touchdowns are going to be hard to come by. So in a standard league, you just need him to get yards. The good thing is he should see enough volume and opportunity to get those yards. The bad thing is you're not. I don't foresee you getting a whole lot of touchdown upside out of Devin Neal.
Right. I mean, Devin Neal, I think, is probably. I mean, shoot, you're talking a standard league here. I mean, he'll certainly be a thing, right? To Kevin's point, he is a starting running back. There's only 32 of those jobs out there right now, and the fact that you've got one of them, right, probably speaks some good things. The matchup against Miami. Miami's been a little bit leaky on the defensive side of the thing, but Devin Neal, I think, can probably get you around 10 points this week on that, right? Like,
You're
there's
higher on him than I am.
well, I'm rounding up there, but I think that there's a world that you can see him get to 8 to 9 pretty easily. And standard league, though, it may very well require him falling into the end zone, which there is a little bit of trepidation on that one, just from the standpoint that wouldn't surprise me they get into the 5 or 10 zone and we see Taysom Hill take direct snaps and take it in. So it's one of those that I think he's worth having on your roster and worth seeing. Do I think that he's going to be a league winner? No. Do I think he may have some flex appeal down the stretch? Potentially. Binking saying, good old boys. Welcome in there, Binking.
What's up, man? How'd your Thursday slate go?
Yep. And we'll get his answer here in a moment. Axel saying, hey, over on the YouTube. Fighting over on YouTube. Do we expect to see Trey Benson at all, or should I pick up Bam Knight? I have Herbert, Burrow, CMC, JT, QJ, Woody, Monty, Henderson, B-Rob, Puka, Tet, Higgins, Franklin, Tyler Warren, and Brock Bowers in a 2-2 flex. So 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex type of deal. I don't mind the Bam Knight pickup. It very well might be a 1-week rental, but I also don't know where you're going to be putting him in with the roster that you've got here.
That's what I'm trying to see. Like, do we expect to see Trey Benson at all? Yes, I think Trey Benson's coming back next week. So I guess that's the answer to the first question. As far as how the roster construction is, I pretty much agree with Derek, right? You're playing 2-2-2, so CMC and Jonathan Taylor right there. Judkins is going to be in one of your flex, possibly even with Henderson, right? Like, I mean, you could run 4 running backs out and you'd be okay because you have Puka kind of anchoring your wide receiver set, and then you're pivoting that second wide receiver between Tet and Higgins and Franklin.
Right.
And then
this week I would
Warren
roll
and
Tet.
Bowers. Good Lord, man. I mean, clearly you work some trades, right? Obviously, this was not the team that you drafted, so you work some trades. It's a solid roster. Like, if you're just adding to provide a little bit of depth, then go for it. Trey Benson, for the length of the playoffs, would be a better have on your roster than Bam Knight would be, in my opinion, but I don't see where you're going to actually put Trey Benson into your lineup.
Right. Maybe you drop B-Rob for that, but I wouldn't do that with CMC being on the roster and you've got that there. Maybe you drop Woody Marks for Trey Benson down the road, but like that's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another at that point, right?
Yeah, they're not the same guy, but they give you the same production.
Right. And then Fighting was saying that If I go after Bam, who do I drop from?
I don't know that I drop any of those guys for Bam
Yeah.
night, man. I just don't.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Binking saying that they were optimal on a FanDuel lineup Thanksgiving slate with Rice, JMO, Wicks was all over Kelsey, Mahomes, Watson, Bengals, Henry. Yep, that's
Yeah.
a good one. Oh, and took down the big pot of 15K for first. So
Nice.
is saying that he wished it had been the Millie contest. I actually followed up on our lineup that we put in on the Tuesday show, and we did a little double up on the one that I submitted off of that one there. Josh Jacobs did not fare very well for us there, but the rest of the lineup turned out pretty well. So nice to hear it that Binking said it turned out well for you. Fighting says lineup recommendations for this week, if you will, need 2 flexes. I'd roll with what Kevin was just saying, right? The if you had Burrow, hopefully you started him there, right? If not, you're forced into Herbs. But CMC, Jonathan Taylor, you're going to roll that one out there. Judkins and Henderson would be my 2 flexes. Tet and Puka would be the wide receivers, and I'd roll Brock Bowers.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you don't love Tet, you could go for a ceiling of Franklin against a kind of a weak Commanders defense. Like, I think this could be a week that you see some of that, but Tyrone McMillan's probably going to see more volume. Franklin might see a bigger shot play.
The frogs over on YouTube. I have Kyron, Rico, and Henderson in my lineup. Would you sit any of these guys for Harvey? Also, Mbuka or Tet? No, I'm rolling Kyron, Rico, and Henderson.
Yep, I agree. I'm rolling those 3.
And
Denver is running back by committee. Yes, Harvey should be leading it, but sometimes it's hard to trust what Sean Payton does at the running back position here in Denver. Like he just
right.
He's not quite willing to give it all to Harvey, which is fine. And Buka's been struggling here as of late, and he could snap out of it at any time. But either Baker's going to play and have the sprained
AC joint.
AC joint, but it's on his left shoulder. That's a good thing, right? So it's on his non-throwing shoulder, so that does help. Or Terrell McMillan, but I think you're gambling with the receivers here. So I would run it as you currently have. Kyron, Rico, Henderson.
Right. Kind of the same thought that right into Teton and Buka, I've got them kind of right next to each other when it comes to rankings this week. Like they're going to be kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another. I like the matchup better for Mbuka going up against Arizona versus Tet going up against the Rams. But at the same time, too, right? If Baker's a little hobbled or he doesn't go, I really dislike the option of Teddy Bridgewater trying to throw the ball and have production out of Mbuka. So, yeah, if Baker's not out there, it's an easy pivot to Tet for me. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, just
All right. Scott also wondering about that with Benson over Charbonnet. Benson's back and healthy. I'd rather have a guy that I think will have a singular workload over the committee that Seattle's running.
yes. As things sit, I think I'd rather have Benson over Charbonnet. If Kenneth Walker were to go down, that instantly flips, and I would want Charbonnet over Benson. So again, with it wasn't your lineup that we were looking at.
No, it was
no, it wasn't your lineup that we're looking at. So I mean, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other type thing, right? Just depends on how you want to play it. If you want to play as we know things currently, Trey Benson's the call. If you want to play the high side of what potentially could be, but there's no guarantee, Charbonnet over Benson.
Right. And fighting saying for the flex, should I go Henderson and either Judkins or Bowers? I put Bowers in your tight end spot and run Henderson and Henderson and Judkins out there. So, Frosty, what happened to the first half of Linsanity run Odunze?
That's a great question. The Bears have found their identity. Like let's just call it that. The Bears have found their identity, and they realize that they are a very difficult football team to stop when they can run the ball and kind of just insert their will. This is very much how the Lions operated, right? This is not any different, really, than how the Lions operated with Ben Johnson being their offensive coordinator. They wanted a dual-headed running back, one that had a little bit more power, one that had a little bit more wiggle, and they threw the ball when necessary. I think Jared Goff reads the field better than Caleb Williams. So Jared Goff was able to, kind of disperse, but even when he was throwing the ball, the target tree was very narrow, right? It was Sam Laporta. It was Amon-Ra St. Brown for the longest time, even with JMO, right? It took a long time for JMO to kind of get out of suspension and not injured and everything else. So I would tell you this is to be kind of expected. The only difference is you have all these mouths to feed in Chicago. So as Caleb Williams continues to develop and sees the game a bit better, he didn't have to force it to Odunze. He has DJ Moore, who is not, I don't think DJ Moore is what he was 3-4 years ago, but DJ Moore's still a solid wide receiver. You have Luther Burden who can make plays. You have Colston Lovell in there. You have both your running backs now. Like you don't have to have Caleb Williams do too much. And quite frankly, if you're the Chicago Bears, if you only have to throw the ball 27 times a game, you're going to take it.
Right.
You're just going to take it. You're going to turn around. You're going to hand the ball off. You're going to get, 4.5 to 5 yards a clip, and you put yourself in 3rd and short, and you make a play, and then you rinse and repeat. So it's not ideal for fantasy purposes, but for the Bears, it's working. That's why they've rattled off whatever it is, 9 straight wins. And they've looked pretty good doing it.
Right. Absolutely. Binking saying, which other player on the slate will score similar fantasy points to Mbuka, and you can't say McBride?
Other fantasy points, similar points to Mbuka? So 8 points?
Yeah, somewhere in there. I don't know. I'd tell you that.
I'd tell you McBride scores more.
Right.
I mean, hold on. I'll keep looking at this, but I don't think Mbuka. He's kind of hit his ceiling for this season. I think teams have kind of figured that out. I think he's not. He lasted a little bit longer than Odunze, but I think we're seeing the same thing with Mbuka as we're seeing with Odunze, right? They had their peak, they had their high point, and now they've drastically come back down to reality as defenses had shifted and kind of understand their skill set and their traits. So Mbuka is mid wide receiver 2 at best right now. So I think there's a lot of upside with other spots.
Right. I tell you, other guys that probably score similar fantasy points this week: Olave, Tet, Ladd. I think those are 3 guys that you're probably pretty close on. So if you're looking for a cheaper option, maybe Wan'Dale Robinson.
I think Michael Wilson will probably be about the same as Mbuka this week, right? Yeah. If you're looking for a bit of a value play, Stephon Diggs against the Giants is kind of a sweet play. So Diggs against the Giants, I think you have some room there. Franklin or Sutton. I mean, it's a coin flip, but I think either one of those Broncos receivers could end up scoring similar or maybe a little bit more than Mbuka this week.
Right.
Again, teams are not letting Mbuka get behind him anymore. That happened early in the season. Baker made him pay. Everyone's kind of adjusted a little bit. So, especially because they know they're not really getting beat deep by anybody else.
Absolutely. Binking saying Kevin Jacobs with a looks like a sad face there. Binking saying Odunze is still on second year. We also had the Bears had a lot of new things coming in, so offense open up more opportunities in general develop in the system. Odunze will heat up. Maybe. Probably.
Even if he doesn't this year, right? He showed great improvement from year 1 to year 2, right? Like we've seen what he can do. New coach, new offensive philosophy. They're still getting pieces put around him, everything else. Like I expected Dunze to be better next year than what he was this year again. Like he's not a bad player by any stretch. So it's not that I'm down on Dunze long term. It's just realistic on how the Bears are offensively putting together their games right now. He's a lot harder to pin down for a guaranteed amount of points than he was earlier in the season when he was seeing, an extra 3 or 4 targets a week.
Scott asking, nice thing about Benson, he's stashed on IR for probably another week or so. Yeah, he certainly could be chewing on some IR spots out there for sure. Binking saying that the Bears have the best wide receiver room in the NFL depth wise. If I was a QB, I'd want the Bears wide receiver room.
Really?
I don't know that I would agree with that necessarily.
They're solid. Like they're definitely. I would tell you they're definitely. I'm trying to think who else I'd want over them.
The Rams.
So when you're saying wide receiver depth, how deep are you truly going though? Are we just going more Luther Burden and Odunze? So we're just going top 3?
Yeah, I think that's probably maybe where we do. Is just kind of.
I couldn't tell you who their 4th receiver is. Is it Zacchaeus?
I'd have to look it up.
Wide receiver all roster? Now you're going to make me look this up, man. Son of a gun. The Nuggets lost. Boogers. All right. This is great on air.
Yeah, there you go. So it's Odunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Olamide Zacchaeus, Devin Duvernay, and Jadahade Walker. I don't know that screams super depth on that one. At that point, I think Kansas City probably has better depth throughout their wide receiver room. Right, if you're going to look at that between Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, and Nico Remigio. And 1 through 5, I think the Chiefs probably have a better wide receiver room there. And the 6th guy there, you can throw it out either way.
I'd argue that the weight of the Cowboys up top carries that room more.
Right.
Same thing with the Rams, that the weight that the Rams have with their top 2 carries it more. That's not a bad room. Hell.
The Seahawks have a pretty good room there too. Right? With JSN, Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed, Jake Bobo's been very serviceable out there. Cody White's listed there, but meh.
Yeah, and then their rookie who just went on IR.
Torrey Horton.
Yeah, Horton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good. I don't know that I'd be able to say best.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when healthy, I mean that might be your deepest wide receiver room out there, right? If they're fully healthy, ready to go between Evans, Godwin, Mbuka, Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard, Jalen McMillan. Like, if you want to look at kind of the deepest wide receiver room out there, I think that's the kind of the easiest one to do it, especially if they're all healthy.
Yeah, if everybody's healthy. Yeah,
Right.
That's a good room. It's not, again, not saying it's terrible. I would tell you, pound for pound, if everybody's healthy on the Packers, you could argue the Packers have the best all-around wide receiver room.
Yeah, I mean,
And I know these guys get a lot of hate, but part of that's the Packers' offensive philosophy. But the Packers have a lot of guys, so much so that they have to make wide receivers turn into defensive backs. Like, just in all seriousness, right? Like, they just kept drafting wide receivers, and it's like, now we have too many. Why don't you go play defensive back for a while? Like,
right. Use those ball skills on the other side
room's
of the
not
ball.
bad.
Right.
Yeah, Watson and Golden and
Dobbs and Wicks and Jaden Reed and Savion Williams. Like
it's a bunch of number twos. Like, they don't have a clear number one. But a bunch of number twos is clearly still hard to stop, right? That's why the Packers have been successful, because you never know who's going to get the ball. They just kind of give it to whoever's open, and they don't care.
Right.
Like, they hate fantasy football.
Yes.
For the wide receiver room.
Yes.
Running back, it's a little bit different, but they hate fantasy football for the wide receivers.
Yes.
Massive target trees.
Yeah. That's one way of looking at it for sure. Frosty over on YouTube. Keep one rest of season. Godwin, Reed, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's back. I want Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I think he's going to give you the most upside when healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Reed's gadgetry. Godwin's not running anything deep. His is all short, over the middle, intermediate type stuff. Like, he's not going deep. I don't think his leg can handle quite all that. So he's not going to be your burner. Wilson, just off of sheer targets, should be able to do that. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like when he does come back. Now that John Mechie's kind of had himself a bit of at least an outbreak or an appearance. You have A.D. Mitchell, who is kind of a head case, but still flashed a little bit. So it will be interesting once Garrett Wilson comes back to see if he's still hyper focused on, or if it gets spread out a little bit and actually makes him more efficient because he's seeing a higher quality of targets and not just being force-fed garbage all game.
Right. Binking saying that Odunze's touchdowns will come. Yeah, they very well could.
Yeah.
Frosty over on YouTube, is Marv gonna play? I haven't seen anything on that one, but
where was he? I think he is, but I think a lot of it, maybe you call it game time. Like, he might be a true game time, right? They're going to see how this plays with the appendectomy and see how he's feeling and everything else. They don't want to get the guy hurt, right? Like, it's bad enough that they had to be without him, but why continue to he's not in this lineup. I think I had him on.
Most of the time when you have an appendectomy, they limit you to, like, hey, we don't want you to lift more than like 10 pounds for the next month, right? Because you've got a lot of core muscles that are healing up and all of that. And so it would surprise me a little bit if he plays in this one, but he is listed as questionable. So I don't know. We're only 2 weeks removed from this thing. So
this would be week 3.
So yeah, okay. So this one here, like, we might see him. It wouldn't surprise me if we get an update on Sunday morning saying that he's not out there. He's not going to play. So I would be looking other directions if you need to.
The good thing is they have the earliest time slot because it's in Tampa Bay. So you will know early in the day and you can make a pivot.
Right. Binking saying maybe not so much the yards, not a drastic spike, but some. I think he's going back to that Odunze thought. Scott asking Darren Waller back this week.
Ass.
Even if he is, I don't want to play him.
Brenton Strange, Kate Otten this week. Like, again, The Darren Waller thing was a nice flash in the pan, but getting this close to the end of the season and trying to get ready for the playoffs, by no means do I want to be tied in to needing Darren Waller to perform.
Right. And he was limited at practice earlier in the week. Like, this is still not one of those that I want to bank on it, right? Especially coming back off of an injury like that. I want to see what it really looks like on the field before I'm going to put it in there. Scott asking, what do you expect out of Godwin over the kind of the rest of the season, last few weeks here?
I expect him to steadily improve. Right. I don't know that we are going to get back to what we had the first half of last season before the injury, but I think it's getting up to speed, his NFL shape, the chemistry with Baker, that, right, wrong, or indifferent. Yes, they had it, but you still have to. It's like it's a perishable skill. That's the word I'm trying to use, right? Like, if you don't practice together, you lose some of that timing. You have to work to get it back. So as long as he's able to stay healthy and continue to get out onto the practice field and get those reps in, I think you do see him continue to improve. I think it also helps that, if they're getting Bucky Irving back and all these pieces, right? Because now teams are going to have a little bit more to focus on. So as Tampa Bay as a team gets healthier, on top of Godwin becoming more acclimated to this season of football, I think all things help him improve. Wide receiver, back end wide receiver 2, I think is a safe floor, right? Maybe high end wide receiver 2 is kind of the upside right now, but we're just not seeing him with the 10, 11 targets and, all the grabs that he had last year and falling into the end zone. We haven't seen that part yet. So we can't set expectations too high. Otherwise, we leave ourselves plenty of room to get burned. And again, going into the playoffs, I don't like surprises. I want to know that I know that I know when I'm getting ready to set playoff lineups.
Yeah, and Godwin, honestly, at this point, I would. Kevin's a little bit higher on him than I think I am. This is one of those that maybe might be looking at a flex play. Like, that's a pretty big if right now for me. As you mentioned, right there's some of those perishable things that kind of came into play there. And I want to see him really kind of get back out there and see what it truly looks like, right? The 1 game sample size that we have with him kind of back and in and playing was not enough for me to go, ooh, I really want part of this 4 targets and 9 yards type of deal, right? Like, this is one of those that I want to see what this looks like over the next little bit. So if you want to stash him and go for it, like, stash him, okay, but like, it's going to take a couple of solid games for him to even try and set it as a flex play going into a playoff game, right? For anything other than a pure desperation move. Any other thoughts on this one? All righty. Binkin saying thoughts on DK this week.
Would rather not. The Titans are just a team that I'm trying to completely get all away from, especially going into playoffs. Now, if you're looking at a DFS play, I think it's interesting. Yes, he provides value. I think Jaden Higgins might be in that same realm. I like Jaden Higgins slightly more than DK personally. Trey Tucker gives you obviously a ton of upside. So there's some possibility there. And you expect the Chargers to be kind of in control of that game and forcing the Raiders to throw the ball. So maybe Trey Tucker gets a bit more of a run. I think, John Mechie, again, for the Jets, is a guy that I might like more than DK because Atlanta's kind of dead in the water here, and the Jets have shown just a little bit of life, right? Enough to be interesting and to see if Tyrod can continue this little run with Mechie here. So listed a whole lot of other guys. I shouldn't say a whole lot, but I definitely listed some other guys that I like more than DK this week. I'm really anti anything Tennessee here at the moment.
Fair enough. I don't know that I have any real differing opinions there. DK or Malik Washington?
I'd probably go DK.
Yeah, I would agree, right? Like,
I think Miami can get it done with a crap ton of
Devon Achane.
Right? And Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could kind of just go two-headed against the Saints.
Yep.
Like DK's opportunity for touchdown slightly more than Malik Washington.
I would agree with that. Binking saying I'm hearing a little more Tua chatter than I was expecting this week.
That's the you bringing him up was the first thing we've mentioned to him on the show,
right? And I haven't really heard a whole lot on that one. So if you got some chatter, let's spill the tea. I think is the saying.
Yeah, share the tea.
Binkin saying that the basketball team crushed the one I've been telling y'all about with Dak, Love, Gibbs, JMO, Rice, Ferguson on Thursday. Yep, that
absolutely.
That would have been a good one. And then you still got Cook, Mbuka, Godwin, Fryermuth, Ray Davis, really need Hampton and Jaden Reed back.
Another week.
Yep.
They're coming soon.
They are coming around the corner for sure. So, alrighty. I think that actually takes us down here about to the end of the questions. So, guys, if y'all have any questions, concerns, make sure you throw those in the chat. Let's go ahead and talk about those and get that ready to go here for the week. Binkin saying right on time. Getting healthy at the right time is a good thing for the playoffs for sure.
That's right.
All righty. Well, without any other questions coming in here, I guess kind of that couple of final things there. Is there any particular games this weekend you're looking forward to?
No, the Denver game, because I get to watch Denver. Like, not really. None of these stick out to me as like must-have games, right? Panthers and Rams, okay, whatever. Jets and Falcons, whatever. 49ers and Browns, Chargers and Raiders. Like, Houston Indy's interesting because it's in division, right? Like, first time these teams have met this season, right? Is Indy able to bounce back from a loss against Kansas City and kind of get the ship right? Or is Houston going to continue their playoff push and kind of go from there? Kind of the same thing as Pittsburgh. Is Pittsburgh going to be able to, continue to make things really difficult for Buffalo? I think their style of play really could. It would not surprise me to see Pittsburgh win this game. So we'll see, but it's getting kind of desperation time for Buffalo. But yeah, none of these games are like ho-hum, like Sam Darnold against Minnesota, the revenge game. Like, would it surprise you if Sam Darnold was another quarterback to throw for 4 touchdowns this week?
No.
Right? Like, none of these. The NFL definitely loaded up the primetime games. Loaded up the primetime games, and everything outside of primetime is not so super enticing unless they're your hometown team.
Well, even I would say even then the Sunday night game's not that appealing if you're not the Commanders are pretty well out of it. And the Monday night game with the Patriots Giants, the Giants are already eliminated, right? Already eliminated. They've got several key injuries, fired a coach. Like,
I hate when they do 2 East Coast teams for Monday Night Football. I hate it. Like, again, one of the things that I would change.
Right. So, yeah, you're kind of staring this one down. There's not a lot left on the slate that's super, super exciting to me either, but we'll at least get some more football here before the weekend ends. So that's always a good thing. Binkin saying that spent a lot of draft capital on Rice and Hampton, took Hampton at 204. And considering that being in first feels awesome with Hampton in my flex going to be a tough team to beat.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, it'll be really tough.
Absolutely. So get it going down the stretch for sure. All righty. Well, without any other questions or concerns coming in here, let's. I think that may do it for us tonight. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Thanks for tuning in. Right. Good luck on the rest of your week 13 slate. Next week will, for most teams, right? Next week is the last week before the playoffs. It's also the last week of buys. So get a couple more teams out on bye here in week 14, and then on to the march for cash and trophies. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back on Tuesday at 11 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, 11 p.m. Eastern. So hit like and subscribe. That way you guys can get the notifications. And until then, good luck. And I hope everybody wins unless they're playing against me.
There we go. Alrighty, I like it. That's going to do it for us tonight. Again, you can find us on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at Good Old Boys FF. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, follow button, wherever you're consuming this content at. Very much appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in, all the interaction in the chat there. But that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.